Hello, everyone. It's Friday evening, not a Saturday evening, but with certain people not being able to stream the way they were expecting to, and the kind of a mess that the last time I did a stream was, I decided why not. So hopefully we'll be joined by a few other guests here this evening, besides myself and Tommy D. Um, Unlike my normal, I went ahead and let Shadowhunter drop a link for the StreamYard invite into the chat. If you've got some YouTube friendly campfire style stories, you're welcome to come in. I will be using the backstage though to make sure you're not putting anything nasty onto your avatar. Because Rhino found out the hard way what happens when you don't do that.
Yep.
So Tommy, how's your week been?
Not too bad. Woke up with a hell of a sinus headache this morning, late,
Ugh,
so I just stayed home, took a day
I'm
off.
not sure what's worse, a sinus headache or a migraine.
Well, they're forecasting rain this weekend, and I know that's what set it off. Fucking Washington State, man.
Well, trust me, it could be a lot worse. I
Well,
get migraine. I get migraine headaches triggered by the weather.
oh yeah, no, my arthritis acts up, all that good stuff. Getting old sucks. No, it
Oh
actually
yeah,
worked out okay for me though, because my yard guy showed up. He's the 14-year-old unicorn.
yeah. You've
He
mentioned them a few times.
Yeah, he showed up this morning and cleaned up the rest of the tree trimmings that we couldn't fit in the refuse container last week and took care of that. Did a little bit more. So, yeah, that was all right. He was showing off his new motorcycle. God, I hope that little fucker doesn't get caught riding it. It's got a bad plate on it, no title on the motorcycle. Stupid 14-year-old boy stuff like we used to have in the 80s. He is definitely not of this era.
No, no. I think our society has lost quite a bit with not with how much coddling is done.
Oh, man. He doesn't even like computers. He's got a cell phone, of course, but that he uses mostly for his shit car parts and appointments. He keeps all the yards that he mows on his appointment thing, and he's a little businessman.
Yeah, I was about to say. It sounds like he's taking a page from Elon Musk's playbook.
Yep, he's doing it the right way, man. I tell you.
Pretty much. Okay, we got Crusader Nate in the chat.
There we go.
So, Crusader, if you feel like jumping on to share some stories that may be true, may be false, feel free. I've dropped the link in all the usual places. And unusually enough, I also added it to YouTube.
He's just rabble rousing in the freaking chat I see right now.
Yeah, he's
he'll
being
be
him.
he'll be on.
Oh, probably. So, Tommy D,
Mm.
when you were in the service, I'm
Mhm.
sure that you had barracks equivalent stories where people would sit around and just talk about random nonsense that may or may not have been true. Am I correct on that
Allegedly,
one
maybe.
or not?
There he is.
Oh, we used to BS all the time, usually sitting out in vehicles doing, God knows what, God knows where, sitting and waiting, babysitting and waiting for something to go wrong, which only happened maybe 5 to 10% of the time. But yeah, just kind of laughing here, kind of poking the bear, so to speak. I mean, what could
Yeah,
go wrong, right?
yeah. Good old fashioned
What?
campfire stories.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like, someone hadn't claimed that I'm the voice of reason before. I'm the glue holding things together.
Yeah.
Okay, well, gentlemen, I'm gonna go ahead and start the shenanigans of this off. Granted, we've only got 3 people viewing, but small channel just starting, so I don't
it'll gr-
expect
it'll
a
grow.
huge number of views yet.
Yeah.
So we, I'm sure if you've watched The Fat Electrician, you're familiar with the story of when the United States once tried to nuke the moon. Did you know that there was
Yeah, I
actually
vaguely
one
remember
time?
that.
Did you know there was one time when the United States actually nearly started a nuclear war because of the moon?
I vaguely remember hearing about that, but I don't remember much of the details on it.
Right.
Okay. Back in the 1960s, let me get to the right section of this story. October 1960, an early warning radar base in Greenland started sending alerts. According to its computers, an attack was underway. The North American Aerospace Defense Command had to confirm the alerts before contacting President Eisenhower and launching nuclear bombers. It followed procedure and called Greenland to have someone check the radar. It turns out the radar was getting echoes off the rising moon.
I can see that.
So essentially what happened was the radar was way too sensitive, could go out way too far, picked up something way too big to be an airplane, and decided to ping it as missiles being launched.
Okay, so when did you say this happened, by the way? It was his 50s?
October 1960.
1960. Okay. Well, I can do a little bit of an explanation on that because I did some radar repair and I've got the theory down. That was one of my job things. Radar at that time period, they didn't know how to fine tune it very well. So it's no surprise to me, especially in Greenland on a clear night, that they were able to actually light the moon up with a radar signal.
Yeah, that's one of those stories I stumbled upon a while back, and I've always been like, okay, this is too stupid not to be true.
No, it can happen, and they didn't know the signals to look for because they hadn't actually perfected radar by any stretch of the imagination by then.
Wasn't it also a matter of calibrating how far it was shooting out and reading the
getting your
return
beam
time?
focused correctly, all of that kind of shit. Yeah, it's actually radar is kind of cool.
Well, radar is a specific frequency range of radio waves, if I remember correctly, right, Tommy?
It's literally microwave, man. It's microwave signal.
Okay.
That's what it is.
And with a microwave signal, I mean, that was probably one of the first situations of what ham radio operators label now as moon bounce. Well, they will actually direct a beam antenna at the moon at a certain time and place, and they'll be able to bounce a radio signal off it and either back to themselves and hear like a 5 to 10 second delay, and or bounce it off the moon to other locations. That actually, I've seen people do it. And you can bounce signals from Hawaii to Greenland.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. If you know how to focus your beam and get your angle right, yeah, you can do all kinds of crazy shit.
So,
so
Tommy,
I could realistically see that.
So Tommy, have you got a story of a similar nature that you'd like to go ahead and share that's too stupid not to be true?
Give me a little bit of time. I'm thinking. I'm coming up with a blank at the moment. You were asking a little while ago about the commons areas and the barracks and gathering up. I never really hung out in those areas because everybody was so much younger than I was. I went in at 27, so these were a bunch of 18, 19-year-old kids, and they were always up to something stupid, and I didn't want to get fucking in trouble because of their stupidity. I'd go down to the bar or something.
Yeah,
I can't say that I blame you there, Tommy.
Yeah. Now there's
Crusader, while he's dredging up something.
Well, like, you want to talk about like stuff like newsworthy shenanigans and stuff?
No, let's keep this fairly light, because if Rhino does decide to jump on tonight, I've already sent him a couple of really foobarred articles that I don't want to step on his toes over.
Well, it looked like you really liked the otter one and the nacho cheese one, so that's
Yeah.
Those are good ones.
These were pretty cheesy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to step on his toes.
Yeah, I know. Well, like I said, worked in EMS and I worked for a defense contractor for a number of years. We traveled all over the U.S. We traveled different areas and saw many different things, many stupid things. And let's just, I don't know if, I don't even want to, some of the stuff that I've seen is pretty gross and pretty graphic.
Yeah,
Um,
let's stick with stuff that's, like I said, YouTube friendly and too stupid not to be
Yeah.
true.
Well, we've all seen the movie American Pie, right?
Yep.
Actually, I've never seen that one.
It's worth a watch. The first one, especially.
You need to watch it. There is, well, no, even up to American Wedding, they're all worth a watch.
Yeah, the first three are definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, the first three are worth the watch. I was working in EMS, and one of the situations we wound up being in mirrored, well, actually happened prior to the second American Pie movie by probably a year.
Oh no.
Where there was a young man who accidentally got an adhesive on his hand and wound up adhering his hand to a portion of his anatomy.
Oh no.
Well, the best part was it wasn't his father that found out. It was his mother.
Oh God.
And we were actually delivering somebody else that had a minor health issue. And the mom walked in and the kid was making a scene, not wanting to go in, and really made a big scene in the ED. So they were, it was so hard to like walk through there and not laugh while all the other nurses were snickering and just kind of chuckling, like they're trying to hide that they were laughing at it. But yeah, that's one thing that I actually saw happen.
God, that poor
Or
little bastard.
the aftermath of that. Another one, we had to go do a home pickup. There was a guy that had a medical procedure done, and they put a catheter in him, and he was kind of groggy. He sent him home with the catheter in.
Oh no.
So he came to, kind of really out of it, not really realizing he left the hospital and made it home. And the dude proceeded to yank the catheter without deflating the bulb.
Oh God.
So he was bleeding profusely.
Yeah, that would do some serious
but managed to get
damage.
the catheter out.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
So we had to pick him up, package him up, stop the bleeding, take him to the ED. There was that one. That was another funny situation. Like, if I didn't see it, I wouldn't believe it. I know I told the story with Pop. Yeah.
I used to be an LR tech, like I've mentioned before, and I've seen that scenario. Oh my God.
Oh, it was blood. So you know what? When I said there was blood everywhere.
Oh
God.
You know exactly what I'm
yes,
talking about.
I do.
Well, there is so much major blood flow through that area of the human male that, oh God, if you destroy the urethra, which I'm sure he did.
I don't know.
It's not a guarantee, but it's not a guarantee, but it's a high probability.
He tore it. He tore it for sure.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he felt that. I'm pretty sure it stung a little.
Oh God.
Let's see. There was that one. That was one of my fun EMS runs. What are some of the other fun situations that I've encountered? Anybody think both of those are true, or if they're bullshit?
Since I've seen one of those happen before, I'm going to say they're probably true.
I would bet they're both true.
They're both true.
Yep. Yeah, because that's just, holy fuck, that shit. That's nightmare fuel, just like Slick South said.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. There was another one where how do I explain this one? while being YouTube friendly.
Use the correct anatomical terminology.
No,
and we
YouTube will
shouldn't
even
say.
flag that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they'll even flag that.
Okay, say it in pig Latin then.
I'm trying to think of the easiest and safest way to say it to get around the algorithms.
The most creative euphemisms you can.
There you go.
Hang on one
There
second.
was a.
Hang on one second, Crusader. Outlaw,
Yeah.
The link to join in if you would like to come on and join in the shenanigans is in Pops Gilded, and Rhinos Gilded, and at the top of the chat bar for this particular video. Okay. Welcome aboard, Outlaw.
Whoa.
What's up, Outlaw?
There we go.
Tonight's basically just campfire style stories. Which
nice.
I'm sure you know what I mean by that, but just to clarify one more again, these are the stories that you tell when you're out camping with somebody who this might be true, it might be utter BS. It's up to them to decide.
Gotcha.
Yeah. There was another time we used to call it trash on a table because every time when I worked for the defense contractor, all of our stuff had to be like cataloged and registered what we're taking out with us, even our med bags, everything. Like we had to literally inventory everything, serial numbers on IV bags, you name it. We had to account on it. Anything down to Advils, Tylenols, bandages, little 1-inch, 7/8-inch bandages. We had to literally document everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you had a pair of tweezers, you had to indicate what it was for.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So we had to document and put everything, what radio we had, what's the serial number on the battery, what's the serial number on the radio, what vest do we have, what plates are in it. I mean, we had to literally like go through everything. And it, we were into the office like an hour before we'd have to go out, look at Homeland Security reports, stuff like that. And we were working out west. There was a festival going out in the Rocky Mountains that we were at. I don't want to give out too much information, but
you don't need to.
Yeah, we got called up on an assistance because there were some foreign nationals that decided to go out for a day hike early in the morning. They got lost, and they didn't have enough experienced individuals, and so we were tasked from being on a security detail for VIPs over to go do search and rescue. So one of the guys that I was working with, he was also another medic. He grabbed his med bag, I had mine, and we go up and we're literally out in the middle of nowhere, no lights, nothing. We're up in the middle of the Rocky Mountains, up near glaciers and stuff like that, where we're trying to find, was it four nationals that obviously weren't from the U.S. They had nothing more than a couple granola bars and I think 2 bottles of water per person, thinking they were on a day hike, and they got lost up in the mountains. And so we were actually called in and sent up into the mountains to go look for them. And so we're up there for 4 hours in the winter, in the dark, looking for people that were completely ill prepared. And one of the things, we all had our, we had nods, we had NVGs. We were up there and we're looking through everything. They sent up there's a Black Hawk that came up and circled overhead that had a
FLIR?
A crew inside, and they had FLIR, but they also had a QRF team on board because of a big event going on in the area. So these guys were up, they were able to mark where we were, and they were trying to use FLIR, trying to spot where these other people were.
Right.
And they were deliberately messing with us, sending us all in different directions on different frequencies. So they had us chasing our own tails up in the middle of nowhere just for fun.
So I assume they had already
So
found
we were
those idiots who had gone out.
Yeah, they already found. They knew exactly where they were, but they had us within a 3/4 of a mile to a mile away, just deliberately taunting us, having us going around in circles. I was following one of my own guys. He was following me, and another guy was following me. We were literally walking in circles, tracking our own boot prints in the snow. And they were deliberately screwing with us for about 3 to 4 hours in the middle of the night. While these other people were just literally sitting there.
Sitting there
Uh,
freezing their butts off.
Okay,
Yeah.
Crusader. That reminds me of
Yeah.
something similar that happened when I was doing land nav on Fort Hood many, many years ago. It was one of the very few parts of that post that actually has woods. Hang on, let me see
Yeah.
if I can fix this thing so I'm not bouncing all over the place.
That's all good.
What is up with this camera? But while I'm trying to figure this
Give it
thing out,
time.
my unit decided in their infinite wisdom that they wanted to do a night land nav.
Yeah.
And we had at least one guy go missing.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
in the military, when someone goes missing during land nav, no one goes home until they figure out where this guy went.
Yep. You got to bring them all home.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
everyone who had managed to find all their points and come back got put together in a impromptu search party to go find Dingleberry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at Fort Hood, they do have an aviation element.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys
Yep.
were also out doing training that particular weekend. So
Yeah.
they decided to rope them in to join the search. Well, they finally they had something similar to what you described happen.
Yeah.
Only those of us that were on in the unit that were searching,
Mm-hmm.
we got smart to the fact that we were being run in circles. So what some of us started doing was taking our pocket knives and cutting one in every 3 trees as we passed them.
Yep. Leaving the breadcrumbs.
Yep.
And since each
Well,
of our squads had at least one person with a radio, the second time we went
Yep.
past the tree after we started cutting it, we would call up and go, "We've been here before. Where are you sending us?"
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And I kid you
Well,
not, the person in the helicopter was like, "You haven't been there before." And the squad leader, best squad leader I ever had on active duty, she comes back with, "If we haven't been here before, then my guy must have teleported ahead of us 50 meters and cut about a 2-inch gash in this tree."
Yeah. Well, the story gets even better because we found them by happenstance. We found these guys. We heard something. One of my guys heard something, radiated it through to the rest of us, went over, got them, got these guys down. About 2 months later, we were doing active drills, training, and we were supposed to be the lost individuals.
Oh no.
So what we did is a couple of my old buddies gave me a few words of wisdom. What we did is we went out to the store when we went through our inventory before we went out. They all inspected everything we were carrying with us. All of us got the reusable extra heavy duty thermal blankets, tucked it inside of our vests around our plates so nobody knew we had them with us. What we did is we started scavenging branches as we went up into the mountains and throwing them into our bags just at dusk as the sun's going down, knowing these guys would be using FLIR and everything else that they could use to find us. What we all did is a couple of them went and crawled into some of the caves into the Rockies, so they wouldn't have any heat signature. And some of the rest of us, what we did is we made a hooch out of our emergency blanket, and we threw the branches and stuff over the top, and we made sure that there was no way any heat signature would come out. So when these guys came out, the flight crews came out to kind of search and to look for us, there was not an ounce of a heat signature anywhere. When we all had little like FRS radios to talk to each other that nobody knew that we had. And so we were talking on a different frequency and listening on their air frequency, listening to these guys freaking out, not knowing. And we're like, oh, I don't know where I'm at. It got dark. I don't have a light with me. And they're like, where are you? And I'm like, I don't know. It's dark out. I can't see anything. And so this flight crew, this whole flight wing, we could hear the helicopter circling over us. And these guys are furious. Then they sent up a National Guard element to come be boots on the ground for them to look for us. So we all had earpieces on our radios. We were basically laying low and laughing at them. Well, it turned out the colonel in charge of the air wing heard that this whole flight wing couldn't find us. He got involved.
Oh.
So we were out for almost 3 days, basically laying low, laying under cover, moving when we knew they weren't in our area, because they'd have their beacon lights on. You could see their lights a mile away up in the mountains with nothing around you. And so we would move our areas, and we were constantly moving around. We'd move into areas they've already searched, so we know they wouldn't be back for a couple of hours. Then we'd set something up, drop down, cover ourselves, mask ourselves, and then come back like 45 minutes to an hour later. So we wound up dragging this for 4 days. And when we got the radio call, like, all right, guys, come back to the trailhead. Something happened. So we all dumped our FRS radios, our emergency blanket, like reusable ponchos. We packed all those up and we hid them up in different areas, under rocks, under deadfall trees, did everything we could. And sure enough, here's this colonel and here's our boss. Like, all right, everybody's furious. Everybody's pissed, wondering what happened.
Well, you embarrassed the living daylights out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what we didn't realize, we didn't know this, was they brought in a on-the-ground reporter to sit in one of the helicopters to watch how they do this.
Oh.
So this entire air wing, they're flying C-130s with, using IR, using everything that these guys had at their disposal, trying to show how easy it was to this reporter to find lost people in the mountains. And here we were, literally toying with the same guys that toyed with us just a couple months earlier. And they were the ones that got all the credit for finding these lost nationals. And so everybody started asking all these questions. And still to today, we're the only, I think it was 5 or 6 of us that were out in the field for this. We're the only ones who ever knew what exactly happened. And we went up like 2 weeks later. We went up 2 weeks later and retrieved the thermal blankets, the emergency blanket ponchos, liners that we had, and everything else we buried under deadfalls and stuff like that. And the crazy thing is, I think it was 5 of us that were up there, and only 3 of us found the gear we left. All the radios, like the radios were gone, the poncho, the e-blankets were gone, the thermal blankets, everything was gone. Like we knew exactly where they were stashed.
So either someone found them and took them, or animals decided to take them.
It was Bigfoot. I'm telling you, man.
Probably was. But yeah, we literally embarrassed that air wing. That colonel was furious.
Okay.
And he, yeah, go ahead.
Part of me wants to say that this is BS, but there's enough of this that's so off the wall, insane, that it can't be BS.
Well, and I can follow on with an anecdotal with this one. I didn't do it because I wasn't air crew, but yeah, go ahead. Finish your thought there, Mando.
No, that was my thought.
Okay. So one of the guys that I roomed with when I first got to my duty station at Oak Harbor and Whidbey Island, he was a air crew guy for P3. I was a P3 guy, but I was intermediate level depot repair. So I never saw the squadron. I never saw the plane. I was never a guy that needed to go to SARS training. If you guys don't know what SARS training is, That's
Yep.
where you're trying to escape capture, avoid capture, all that shit.
And I've heard
So
it called seer
Seer
training,
training.
but-
Yeah,
Yeah,
same thing.
excuse me, not
Yeah.
SARS. So anyway, he told me that they had one guy that they were told about who had avoided being found for like 4 days. And this
Yeah.
crazy fucker had bunkered up in a beaver dam in Maine.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah. And he survived and avoided capture for 4 freaking days. Most guys, maybe 12 hours.
yeah. Inside of a beaver, that's got to stink.
Oh, God, yeah. And cold
Oh,
and wet.
You know, the smell is probably why a certain piece of anatomy has that nickname.
Yeah.
right.
Oh, they're
Well,
musky.
actually,
They're musky.
yeah. If you it's gonna be a very small space inside of there, so that's why I would kind of call BS on that.
Yeah.
I've actually broken up many of those, but there are some of them that are old, that multiple generations old, that are rather large. That
Mhm.
I mean, if
Yeah.
you're talking a guy that's like 5'7", 5'8", and maybe like a $120, $130, and it's a 4th or 5th or 6th generation beaver dam, or a hut out in the middle of nowhere, and it's on dry land. Could he
Yep.
easily fit in there? Sure. Is it going to
Yep.
stink to high heaven? Hell
Yep.
yeah. Is the dude washed that smell off him since then? Probably
not. Yeah. And
I
that
mean,
was the
it's going to be
thing.
dark. You're going to be claustrophobic. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, the story I heard, and like I said, I don't know, this is anecdotal, it was told to me. It sounded like it was one of those really large beaver lodges. Old 5, 6
Yeah.
generation. But yeah.
Yep. Oh. And the thing is, most people wouldn't even bother to go look in there.
No. Who would think?
Right. But that's smart to go into a place like that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
I'll bet
we after we
he should
after
have
we
got a
embarrassed
medal
that
for
air
that
wing.
one.
Oh hell yeah! After we embarrassed that air wing, they made a point of blacklisting us so that we would never be put up for one of the, be the guinea pigs, the victims to go out and be the searched for. We were automatically flagged. Like anytime it came up to like work with them for like searches or anything, we were like, they're like, oh, we got these 4 guys. Are like, yeah, no, not those guys. And it went almost a year that we didn't work with those guys. Like it got to the point where we were the only option. But
That
they're
had
like,
to have annoyed certain people. Okay.
well, the colonel came out to meet us on the ground
Mhm.
before we went in, and we had to radio in every 15 minutes. We had to call in our coordinates to air crews every 15 minutes.
Oh man. So everything had strings attached at that point.
We were micromanaged and under a microscope, and literally they wanted to, before we hit the ground there, he wanted to go through our gear, everything we had on us, everything we were carrying, wanted to know frequency ranges of our radios, wanted to know, they put a GPS tagger in our bags so they knew exactly where we were. Oh yeah, like we were treated like kindergartners or preschoolers.
Uh-huh.
Well, you embarrassed the living daylights out of them when they had a local reporter on.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really blame them for being a little standoffish.
It's kind of understandable.
But I mean, all right, so you basically wanted to treat us like the redheaded stepchild, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
and make us look horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Play a game of cat and mouse, and not tell us there's going to be a reporter, and try to make us look bad.
Mm-hmm.
But in turn, we return the favor, and beat you at your own game, and we're the bad guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is.
Oh shit! You got to get that one up on there, Mando.
Oh, I am.
Yeah, notice
My
that.
bro-
Well,
my
you said it
brother-
earlier.
Yeah, you did mention it in Gilded.
Oh yeah. Well, it was
And I
brought up
noticed
with
Outlaw
Outlaw
decided to
Stream.
drop out. I assume he decided to go join Seriously.
That could be.
Because
Yeah.
I saw in
Yes,
Gilded that they
John.
just went live.
I shaved it off
Yeah.
because I was sick of it.
That's what she said.
Well,
So, Tommy, you got any
Hmm.
crazy stories that you'd like to go ahead and share besides the tag along to Nate's?
oh, well, there was something I was thinking of, and now I've forgotten it completely.
Well, I got another
Hang on,
story
Crusader.
if you
Let
need
me
time to
let me
think.
share another
Yeah.
land nav one that's in honor of our
Sure.
favorite our favorite cougar hunter.
Ooh,
Okay.
nice. Share away.
This was on Fort Campbell, Kentucky. If you've ever been on Fort
All right.
Campbell, you know how forested that area is. It's almost
Uh-huh.
as wooded as Fort Leonard Wood. Well, they decided they wanted to do night land nav after doing day land nav in MOP 4. Have you ever
Right.
been in Kentucky in summer?
Oh, sticky. Oh,
Voluntarily, no, but for work, yes.
Okay.
man.
Have you ever been in the woods in the summer in Kentucky?
Yes.
What's the biggest predator in that area at that time of year?
I think black bear.
No, mosquitoes, deer flies, horse
Well,
flies.
you could argue those are parasites more than they're predators, but
Well, and yeah, those are
Well,
those are
the
things that,
size of the ones I've seen there.
yeah.
okay. We were doing the nighttime portion of this land nav. And Sean St. George, that was my second heat casualty incident.
Mm.
Not going to go into any further
Oh.
details. Doing the night land nav portion, I had just gotten back from having the medics pump me full of IVs. That way I wasn't going to fall out in the middle of the training event.
No.
And, well, let's just say the guy I got partnered with didn't understand the concept of a shower.
Oh no.
Because, well, and now I bring that up specifically because we had done the daytime portion of it, gone back to the rear to get something to eat, get a quick shower, get some bug spray, and if you were quick and lucky enough, get about a 15-minute bit of Z's before going back out there.
Mm-hmm.
We all got our night operation devices. We all got our compasses, our protractors. We were allowed to do our plotting in the lit up area and escorted to our starting points. My partner, well, he must have eaten something that was very appealing because as we were out doing our deal, I hear.
Oh no.
I stop right where I'm at. He stops as soon as he realizes that I stopped. And he goes, "What's the matter?" I'm like, "Did you not hear that?" And he goes, "I thought I heard a dirt bike going off." This guy was from New York
Oh
City.
no.
He'd never been out in the woods.
Oh god.
I'm from rural
Oh
Missouri.
no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now the moon was bright enough and the cloud and the coverage of the leaves was low enough that I didn't need my nods to navigate the terrain. But I needed it.
Yeah.
I needed them to identify if we had any local wildlife. Hey, welcome back, Outlaw.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry about that.
That's all good, man.
It's all
And
good.
I go ahead and put on my night vision. He's like, "Wait a minute, I thought you could see in the dark." I'm like, I can, but if what I suspect is here, we need to be looking in a different direction.
Yep.
I do a 360, he does a 360, and we both stop at looking at basically the same point. I kid you not, probably about a 6-foot cougar, no more than 12 feet away from both of us.
Oh my God. Oh no. What'd you do?
I literally just stopped where I was. He had the radio, and I basically stage whispered to him, "Call Top now."
No.
Mhm.
And he's like, "I don't know if I can." I look over my shoulder, and there's a nice wet spot right between his legs.
He pissed
Yeah,
himself.
I can.
And I looked at him, and I go, "Either you call Top, or I explain to him why Stinky was cat food."
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, okay." So he slowly brings up the radio and calls in, "We have a problem."
Rather big one.
Mhm.
First sergeant was like, "What kind of problem?" He goes, "We got a cat problem." Like I said,
Mhm.
from New York. He hadn't seen one of these things outside of a zoo or a picture book.
Right.
Yeah.
I am like, I reach my hand back as far as I can. I'm like, "Hand me the radio."
Mhm.
I'm not taking my eyes off this cat, because I know as soon
Nope.
as I do, one of us is going to become lunch.
Yeah, the minute you break eye contact with a cat like that, they'll pounce.
He hands me the radio by the antenna. I slowly bring it up to my mouth, and I'm like, "First sergeant, we are approximately X number of meters from point, whatever the heck point it was.
Yeah.
We have a cougar looking right at us."
All right.
Oh,
And
Sorry about that.
the first sergeant literally starts just going off over the radio. "You dumb SOBs, why the hell did you get that close to a cougar? Blah, 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 blah."
We
I'm
didn't.
like, "First sergeant, I'll be more than happy to take the butt chewing as soon as we get the cat taken care of.
Mhm.
We don't have any
Just not from
weaponry
the
with
cat.
us, as you're well aware.
Right.
Can you please send one of the guys from range control out this way to convince Kitty Cat to go somewhere else?"
Mhm.
Yeah.
The first sergeant was
I
like,
can see
"Wait a
that.
minute, you'll accept the ass chewing?" I'm like, "Yes, I will. I don't want to become cat food tonight."
Nope. And I don't want the cat to be
Right.
hurt.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Top calls up to range control. They go driving past where we were in one of their F-150s,
Mhm.
honking the horn, or laying onto the horn as loud as they can. Kitty Cat goes tearing past us.
Mhm.
I call Top. I'm like, "Thank you.
Mhm.
Continuing mission." I hand the radio
Yeah.
back over to Stinky, and I go, "If I ever say stop again, don't ask questions, don't argue,
Just stop.
just effing do it.
Mhm.
And do not
Yeah.
go more than arm's reach away from me."
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
"Do you mind if we take like a 5-minute break?" Like, "Let me guess, you need
You
to
shovel
empty
the
what you're
shorts
putting in the
out.
back of your pants, don't you?"
Uh-huh.
He's like, "Yes, I
Yeah.
do."
Yeah.
like-
Shovel your shorts out.
I turned off my night vision, flipped it up so I couldn't see what he was having to do, gave him a little bit of dignity. After he took care of what he had to do, I was like, "Let's go. We've got one more point to find. Then we're heading back." And you'd better be ready for the mother of all butt chewings, because First Sergeant
Uh-huh.
is going to lay into both of us for this. He's like,
Yeah.
I understand. Bear in mind,
No.
this guy used to give me crap all the time up until that night.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure he gave it all to his shorts that night.
Well, and
Well-
most people don't understand how large those cats are. And when you see that muscle ripple on them and they're looking at you, it puts the
Yeah.
fear of God into you.
Bear in
Oh,
mind,
yeah, it does.
I'm a cat person.
Mm-hmm.
Zookeepers at different zoos that I've gone to are shocked that I can go up to the different big cat enclosures
Mhm.
and their animals will start acting like kittens.
Oh, yeah. They'll interact with you
Yeah.
because you know how to work with a cat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You.
And I
I
know
mean, the only
all the
difference between a house
telltales.
cat. Yeah.
And I know all the
go ahead.
telltales of when a cat is ready to take your head off,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to when a cat just wants to come up and nuzzle you.
Or is curious about
Right.
what you're up to.
This cat had
Right.
obviously not eaten in a couple of days.
Yep.
And it was twitching
Yeah.
along the flanks.
Ready
Which, if
to
you've been
pounce.
around cats often enough,
Yeah.
Mhm.
when that's happening, they're wanting to pounce, but they're not ready to pounce.
Right. They don't see the
They're
right
waiting for the
opening.
right second.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me. I had to train in FNG, and we were up doing going through some canyon areas just after avalanche dangers and stuff like this. This guy he was still still hasn't cut the umbilical cord yet, young, and we're up in the mountains, up in the Rockies in southern Idaho, and we're looking across a canyon. I'm trying to say, okay, do you see? I'm giving him compass bearings. I'm like, this range away, this distance. Look here, you're going to see this color. There's something on the ground. Do you see it? Yes or no? And we're kind of scanning a canyon, looking for signs of what's going to be out there. This is what you're going to look for to see telltale signs of human disturbance, human foot traffic. These are the things you're going to want to look for. And I'm having him, I'm looking at him like, okay, I'm like, spot me something orange in the distance, and range it, give me a bearing. I'll double check you on it. And he's sitting there, we're walking, and he's looking through his binoculars. He goes, I see something gray and it's moving. I don't know what it is. I said, how far away? He said, opposite side of the canyon. He's like, maybe 3 or 4 miles.
Oh no.
I'm like, we're literally deep in the Rockies. There's a big canyon between us. It's probably, let's say, 2 or 3 miles wide. And I'm like, it can't be that far away. I'm like, you got to be looking past where we're looking. I'm like, keep it within our grid. He goes, no. He goes, the other side of the canyon. He said, where the mountain comes up. Like, okay. I'm like, give me a bit, give me a compass bearing. Tell me what you're looking for. And he's like, it's right there. And he points. And I'm looking, and I went to look in a different direction because I was originally looking where he was telling me to look. And I look over, and here you see on a little plateau on the other end of a canyon, a cougar just like meandering with 2 little kittens with it.
Oh no.
And I'm like, dude, put away your binoculars.
Mhm.
We're done. He goes, what do you mean we're done? I'm like, we are going to get out of here before it even smells us or knows we were in the area.
Mhm.
Because if it knows we were here and can pick up our scent in the wind, we're done. And he's like, well, it's just a cat. And I'm like, do you have any idea what that just a cat can do? I said, that thing's probably 130, 140 pounds
Mhm.
and nose to butt about 3.5 to 4 feet long.
Mhm.
Like, that's a full grown female with kittens.
With kittens.
I'm like, and the worst part is it's got kittens. He goes, what are they going to do to us? I'm like, that's not the problem. It's not the kittens. It's her.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Mama
So
Kitty that
I
you have
called
to
it
worry
off.
about there.
Yeah, I called it off and I radioed back. I'm like, yeah, we're done. I said, we're coming back to the trailhead. And they're like, why? What's going on? What happened? I'm like, we have a female cougar with kittens, and they're like, and why are you wasting time on the radio talking to us? I'm like, why do you think we are on our way to you now? We'll be there within the hour. And I did everything I could to keep my eye on her the whole way back. And she started coming down. We were probably a half mile away from the trailhead we were on, and I lost sight of her.
Mm.
And you want to talk about
That's
having
always
your
the
fourth
worst
point of
part.
contact? Your fourth point of contact will pucker so tight you can make a diamond.
Mhm.
And that was the longest, probably half-mile hike in my life. I had the hair on the back of my neck standing up, and I'm like, go, 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 go. I'm like,
Yep.
don't waste your time.
Double time. Go.
Yeah, Sean's right. If female has kittens, their default setting is kill.
Mhm.
If it
Yeah.
doesn't go any further.
If you're in their range,
So-
they are going to take you out. So,
to
hey,
put this in terminology that I'm pretty sure Rhino would appreciate, you'd have a better chance with a pack of velociraptors from Jurassic Park chasing you
Yeah.
than a cougar with
Yeah.
kittens.
mhm,
Yeah.
especially if you surprise her. So,
Oh,
let me
yeah.
ask you a question, Nate. Was this
Yeah.
Bitterroot Range or Tetons? Where were you at, man?
Western
Frank Church?
Caldera. Western
Oh.
Caldera.
Okay. No, I'm from Idaho, so that's why I'm curious.
Yeah.
Beautiful
You know the
area.
Western Caldera area?
No, that one I don't think I made it over there. You're talking Yellowstone, Western Caldera. Yeah, I never made it that far east.
Yeah, we were probably an hour and a half northeast of Pocatello,
Okay. Yep. Yeah, Pocatello,
which is very
and
unforgiving territory.
it is. Yeah, Pocatello and Blackfoot. That was relatives a lot of there. So I did a little bit of stomping around there when I was younger, but I lived on the west side of Idaho. So
Okay. All right.
Outlaw,
But
you've been. Sorry.
Yo.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was
Yeah, what's
going
up,
to give
Outlaw?
Outlaw a chance to jump in because he's been pretty quiet and figured
Oh
he might
no,
want to join the
I'm
party.
just listening. I'm just listening to you guys.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, there's another story I heard from multiple people in the area I grew up in. This supposedly happened. I can't tell you whether it's true or not, but I've heard it from multiple people that heard it from somebody else they know that supposedly this happened to. There were guys that were bow hunting in Mississippi River Valley area. Some say it was Minnesota, some say it was Wisconsin. They're up deer hunting and bow hunting.
right.
And these guys went out about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. It was dark. They climbed up into their tree stand, and they're in kind of a little netted, almost like a camo netting style shelter to kind of mask where they were. Supposedly this happened in like the 80s, I guess.
Oh no.
And these guys had little FRS radios with them, and this is, before cell phones were common. Supposedly, one guy climbed up into his tree stand, hung his bow up in the tree, sat in his little seat, kind of tied himself to the tree so he wouldn't fall out or anything. And just as the woods came back to life of him walking through, if you've ever been out in that situation, when you come walking and everything gets silent, then when you stop moving, everything comes back to life. He said he came back to life. It was early, it was dark out. He sat there and he just closed his eyes and he was relaxing. He fell asleep in the tree. Supposedly, he heard a purr and saw a rope swing in front of his face.
I hope he had to clean out his drawers too.
Supposedly, dude left his bow behind, got out of the tree, probably filled both pant legs and left a nice trail behind him.
Oh yeah.
And went and hopped in his truck and just sat there and never went out hunting after.
Yeah.
I can't say I blame him.
And a rope.
If you hear a loud, heavy, deep purr and see a rope swing in front of your face, what are you thinking?
Probably some kind of a big cat.
That's a cougar. That's got to be a cougar.
Yeah.
Well,
Cougars
the
do
funny
purr,
thing
by the
is
way.
that purr noise that cougars make isn't actually the
Mhm.
same type of purr that you get
No.
from your house cat because they
No.
don't have the vocal set up
Right.
for it.
Hmm.
That's a low
Yeah.
growl from them. That's basically them letting you know I'm here.
That's a warning. Yep.
Right. Yeah. So that's they do actually it's a different type of a purring noise that they make.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, they don't sound like a house cat. It's different.
Oh no. Yeah, it's completely different. Their
Mhm.
cranial structure and
Well, it's
the
not,
way
not
that
necessarily
they're
their cranial structure that's the issue. It's the
vocal
way that their
cords.
throat is made.
Yep.
yeah, but if you look at the way that they can actually cause that vibration to happen with
Mhm.
fluttering vocal cords, and it can actually echo through some of the sinus cavities that they have. It's a completely different tone, but it's basically the same. It's the largest
Yeah.
cat that can technically purr, but
Yeah.
that's an urban legend I heard probably from 30 different people. Every time I tell people that I go out and bow hunt, they're like, I heard a story. I'm like, yeah, I heard that one
Yep.
too. How many times? I've been hearing that
Well,
one since I've been a kid.
the thing is, if you've heard it that many times, then it probably has a seed of truth to it.
Mhm. Yep. It did
Yeah,
happen, or
there might
some
be.
variants.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it
uh,
it may
what is
be
it?
true.
What is it you said during a stream that Rhino hosted about legends that there's always a seed of truth to it? It
Mhm.
may be a tiny one, but
Yeah,
there's
there's
a
always
seed.
yeah. Well, maybe somebody saw one while going out, and it's just been like, remember the old game telephone when we were
Oh
kids?
yeah.
You
Yep.
say one thing to one person on one end of the line, and by the time you get to the end, it's always something different. It's
Yep.
the
The
same
story's
kind of thing.
completely changed. Yep.
Right,
Well,
exactly.
fairy tales,
So,
folklore, they're all the same.
Oh yeah.
Mythology, it's the
yeah,
same type of thing.
yeah. And I know some people and like, yeah, I go out bow hunting. And they're like, when do you go out? And I'm like, about 3:34 in the morning when it's dark out. Like, just take a gun. I'm like, doesn't that defeat going bow hunting?
Yeah.
And they're like,
Some states don't
I heard
allow
this
you to
story that,
even some
yeah,
states don't even allow you to have a sidearm for protection.
right.
Well,
And they're
there's
like,
a
I
couple of
heard this
states I've
story when
heard
I was a
actually
kid.
require you to carry a sidearm depending on what it is you're
Mhm.
going hunting for.
Yep.
Yeah.
Depending on the state. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. Some of those, I mean, could I see it happening? Yes. But knowing their hearing, their sense of smell, they're more aloof and they're more distant and they want nothing to do with us.
Mhm.
So hearing somebody like me, barreling through the woods, he's not going to be able to identify what my footsteps are, especially in a very rustic, off the beaten path, private land where it might see 6 to 8 people 4 or 6 times a year. He's not going to know what I am. I mean, he's going to hear me coming a half mile away.
Mhm.
Well, it's probably gonna
Uh,
smell you well before then.
Yeah. Depending on the wind
Well,
direction. Yeah.
yeah, but like a lot of my and I'll admit this is something a little crazy that I do, like all my bow hunting clothes and everything. I use all the scent killers, I use all that stuff. But then I also, good, bad, or indifferent, and I know I'm gambling with my own life on this. I'll take alfalfa and I'll rub it all over my suit, and I'll rub like older apples, so my suit actually smells like I use all the scent killing stuff on it before. Then it all smells like alfalfa and apples. So yes, I know I'm tempting fate when I do that
Could be worse.
with black bears in the area.
Okay, yeah, you're taking your life in your own hands.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, could I see? Do I walk through the woods at night and think of that story? Oh yeah, I do. I'm not going to deny that. So, what about you, man? You got anything else? Any crazy
Well,
deployment stories or training stories or?
I've got plenty of crazy training stories and environment gone wacko stories. Outlaw, do you have something you'd like to go ahead and jump in with before I give the next one of my crazies?
I'm trying to think. I can't think of nothing right offhand.
Okay.
What about urban legends in your area?
Well, let's save the urban legends for closer to October,
Okay.
because I do plan in October to do streams of a more spooky nature. All of this is
Dude,
stuff that
then
can
I have
actually
I
say again.
yeah. I was gonna say, if that's how you want to do it, I have some pretty crazy stories I didn't realize until I was older.
Well, here's actually one that Tommy will probably appreciate. Crusader, you'll probably think that I was an idiot on this one. And Outlaw,
Well, that's me every day.
well, thank you. Outlaw, you'll probably
No, I'm saying I do stupid shit every day.
Yeah.
and Outlaw, you'll probably be wondering just what on earth it is that I'm talking about. During my time in Iraq, we were told to be on the lookout for pretty much anything that wasn't human moving around in our encampments, because there was a standing order. We were supposed to report it so they could remove it. Well, one of the guys in my battalion area didn't report a small twig-like object moving around under the chews, the containerized housing units. Tommy D, you have an idea where this is going, don't you?
Well, let me ask you again. Where was this? Was this in Iraq?
Iraq.
Okay, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Before I go any further, are you thinking reptile or are you thinking arthropod?
Let's just not let the camel out of the bag.
It's not one of those.
Oh, well, then I'm wrong.
No, this is something significantly more poisonous.
Oh, okay. Well, do tell.
A female.
A female.
Let's say
It'll end
that
your life in a
later,
heartbeat.
too. That's a totally different stream.
Yeah, we used to call them white tails, and we go hunting for them. Wasn't good hunting.
Yeah.
Especially when you got one. Oh no.
Okay, so I've got two people thinking that it's either a camel spider or a scorpion.
Mm-hmm.
It's neither. This is a local snake variety.
Huh. Looked like a
that
stick,
decided
though.
to take up residence underneath the chew that had been co-opted for use as the headquarters building.
Mm.
And this was at the beginning of the Iraqi winter, which means it was probably about 70 degrees.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly what the snake was. I don't think it was a cobra. I do remember the people that took it out saying that if anyone had been bit by it, they would have been dead within 4 hours.
Mm. More than likely, it was a cobra relative then.
Probably.
Yeah.
But this was a long time ago, and I don't remember all the details.
Well, and I don't know all of the snakes that actually are endemic or, indigenous to Iraq. I just know they have some nasty ones, but everybody does.
Yeah. Well, I was on Radio Watch, and Dingleberry comes in to relieve me, and he goes, "Hey, just out of curiosity, have you heard or seen anything strange in here tonight?" Now, it wasn't quite Abu Ghraib level, but the talk was haunted. And I was like, you gotta be more specific, man. You've seen some of the stuff that happens in here. He just turns red and he goes, "Have you seen a snake?" I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I saw a brown and tan snake about a week ago in this general neighborhood. I haven't seen it since. I assume it's left." And I was like, did you report this to anybody? He goes, well, no, it's just a snake. I'm like, it's a snake in an area that we have not got proper sealant on any of these buildings.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, well, yeah, what's the point? I'm like, what's the temperature in here right now? He goes, well, probably about 68 degrees. I go, what's the temperature of all these computers? He goes, a lot hotter. I'm like, exactly. How often do we have to dehumidify this room? He goes, oh. Like, yeah. We're calling KBR tomorrow because they're not open right now.
Mm-hmm.
KBR comes out, and I happen to be the one that has to escort them around while they do this. They go through all the chews. They go under all the chews. They finally go to the talk one. It wasn't just one. It was somewhere in the neighborhood of 15, the biggest of which was about 6 feet long.
Oh, God.
Had even one of those things decided to bite someone, like I said, that person would have been gone in about 4 hours because they don't have antivenom on hand at the time that I was there.
Right. I'll bet you
When
they
I
had it
saw
after they
that
caught him.
guy the next evening for my next turn on the radio, I Gibbs slapped him so hard his head actually banged into the computer keyboard. Yeah, he looks at me and goes, I deserve that.
Wow. No, I'll bet you they had antivenom after they cleared those out.
Actually, no.
Oh, they didn't? They didn't milk them all?
It was in theater. It was a theater issue.
Oh.
The time I was in Iraq, apparently the theater medical system had such a bad supply of antivenom that we were told that if you got bit by one of these things, you may as well just prepare your will.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
I would have thought they would have milked them right then and there and then relocated them.
No, the policy, if I remember right, was actually to terminate on site.
Oh, see, now, no.
Remember,
that's the wrong way to do it.
This was back in, I came back from Iraq in 2009.
Right.
So this was well over 10 years ago.
Well,
my memory could be way off.
And honestly, I'm not a big animal conservation person in that method, but snakes are so beneficial for the rats and the fucking mice and all that.
Yeah.
No, they can be. Well, snakes and cats are both creatures that, when they're doing their natural thing, are very beneficial.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we had a small colony of feral cats that lived on the compound that everyone was like, okay, we should report this because of the fleas, but we're not going to because they keep the spiders under control.
Spiders, other lizards, bullshit. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Before my unit arrived at that outpost, they had a huge issue with camel spiders there. Well, a feral cat came in and had kittens underneath the medical chew. And they were going to report her once they figured out where she was, until they realized, wait a minute, the spider population's going down.
Yeah.
We're going to keep these little cats around.
And I think it's funny too because camel spiders are not poisonous. They don't.
No, they're not. They just look like little demons.
They're scary as fuck looking, and they're huge. But they really, I mean, the bite hurts, but it's not going to kill you.
Well, and it doesn't help matters that they got the face of the predator.
Yeah.
Well, that actually is a great segue for a story I heard from a buddy of mine. He was working in Fallujah in 03, 04. So he was there when the party really got started. A couple of guys he worked with.
For a minute. I'm gonna go grab a drink real fast. I'll be right back.
All right. The guys he was working with, they were Uncle Sam's misguided children, if you know what I mean. And they were definitely up to their usual mischief. They were putting different things in other people's bunks and stuff like that. And it progressed to putting camel spiders in people's different their hooch, their hole, wherever they're calling it a night. Well, they finally got to a fob. They got everything all set up, and they actually had their cots, their little rooms and stuff. They were actually living nice for a while. So one of the guys decided he was going to put a dead camel spider in somebody's rack. Well, it was dead. Dude just finished a shift, comes back and pulls his poncho liner off the cot, sees a camel spider, and screamed like a little 4-year-old schoolgirl. And everybody was giving him shit about it. So everybody was tormenting him and teasing him about it and harassing him about it. So what does he do? He sees a camel spider not moving. So he goes and he picks it up, and he thought he was going to be funny and put it in the cot of one of the other guys that he assumed pulled it on him. What they didn't realize is the captain of their unit left, and they rotated in a new one, and the bunk that he put it in was where the new captain was going to come in. And so when the new captain rolled in, the camel spider wasn't dead.
Oh no!
It was running around, and I guess the marine captain let out a scream even worse than like a 3 or 4-year-old little girl, slammed the door shut, and called the entire squad over to help get it.
Okay.
So
Being someone who's violently arachnophobic, that's one of the very few times I will be forgiving of a guy screaming like a 3-year-old.
like a 3-year-old little girl. And I guess he took it with stride. He got harassed and teased. I mean, a lot of us were like sending like little Barbie dolls or like little Cabbage Patch dolls and stuff over to Iraq. And his room, I guess, when they finished their tour over there, he was so pissed off because he had 6 different totes full of like stuffed animals, Cabbage Patch Kids, all these little things that were just filled his entire room. And I guess he was furious at the end because he had to actually sign off on all the stuff being shipped back. And he had to go in front of a colonel. He had to go in front of a colonel to answer why he had all that stuff. And I guess the next unit he went into, everybody just harassed him about that. And last I heard was, I think it was like 06, 08, when they were he was up for being a major at the time. And I guess when they did the ceremony for him to get promoted, there were like those little Barbie's Hot Wheels, and there was all these little things just to torment this guy, even up to his retirement, from what I heard.
I hope that gentleman took those toys and donated them.
I have no idea. I have no idea, but
Tots, Toys for Tots, the Marines
probably
do that.
probably did. Yeah, probably did.
He
But
could have used that for freaking medals and all kinds of shit. I would have ran with it.
Who knows? But dude was so embarrassed by it.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Everybody, I guess one of the other guys that was with them in Fallujah when this happened in like 03, 04, wound up getting bounced into one of his units, and everybody was laughing like it was kind of an urban legend that this happened to that guy. And he was like, no. He goes, I was there. I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as that captain saw that guy, he's like, you're done. He instantly transferred him out of the unit because he thought he was literally affiliated with the group that did it.
He was a Judas.
But he was like, nah. He's like, you're getting transferred.
Nah,
Okay.
get here, man.
Okay, the way you said that, it reminds me of the opening for one of my favorite novels of all time.
What's that?
I know you guys probably have never read any of the Warhammer 40,000 novels,
No,
and
I
probably
never
never
have.
read any of the Horus Heresy novels.
What's the series name?
That's actually the name of the series, the Horus Heresy,
Okay. Yeah, I
Warhammer
haven't.
40,000.
Okay. Nope.
Nope, haven't heard of it.
The first book in this like 20-book series, I've not read all of them because to heck with trying to hunt them all down. The first book, it opens up with, I was there the day that Horus slew the Emperor. Then goes into this long story about this big war going on this planet where the War Master Horus goes in and kills this emperor. At the very end of the Horus Heresy storyline, Horus and the real human emperor end up getting into a fight, and they both essentially kill each other. It's the joke the statement at the beginning of the book is essentially a joke. But Crusader, you reminded me so much of that particular opening statement when you go, "I was there when it happened."
Yeah. Well, I was one of the guys actually sending things to my buddy over there. Like they would like when they would do convoy security, somebody would put like a little Cabbage Patch doll in the seat the captain was supposed to be in, and they were literally like these things would just show up in the most random places. Like they'd be having meetings before they'd have briefings and meetings about when they're doing a convoy security. They would take one of the seats in the front and put one of these little dolls in the seat. I mean, this guy was relentlessly tortured and tormented over this.
God.
And it was like everybody kind of knew. And then it just started with like a group of, I think it was like 10 or 12 guys. And then it literally got that way among everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was literally like the fob joke.
Blood in the water, man. Blood in the water, just like sharks. It's gonna attract them.
Yeah. Well, they were doing little stupid shit like putting like on top of the connexes that the guys had. You know, one guy had one side, one guy had another side. That have their little room set up inside there. They would put one on top of there. They'd put one on top of the wall. They would put them inside of vehicles. Like you see, and like you'd hear guys doing like fob security and stuff like that. Like they would be up in a tower watching out, and then one of them would like smuggle up like a little like a Raggedy Ann doll and have it sitting on the wall looking in. And it's like, just they'd leave it up there and wait until somebody spotted it and called it out. Like, you guys are dicks. It's like, wow. there's a point where it's funny, and there's like a point of taking it way too far.
Yeah, where it's
and I think
malicious.
I think they were like borderline malicious with it as far as they were taking it. Like this guy couldn't go anywhere without it happening to him.
Okay. Something that happened with me when I was coming back from Iraq, actually even before I went to Iraq, my first car was a shitty little Pontiac Sunfire. I mean, I loved that car when I had it. Looking back on it, it was due for the scrapyard when I bought it.
A fucking Sunfire? Holy shit, man! I had a Monza, the Chevy version. Anyway.
Long story. I'm not going to go into any major details about it. I had that car for about 8 years.
Oh, wow.
Wow, you got one made on Wednesday.
Well, I also made sure to take good care of it.
Sure.
But when I get to Fort Campbell, my platoon sergeant was a complete and total a-hole. I mean, he was pop malicious.
Oh, he was just a dick.
And he used to always make comments about my car being a Hot Wheels car. He drove one of the early Toyota SUVs.
Oh, so a 4Runner?
I think that's what it was.
Or an FJ Cruiser. Yeah, one of the
others. It was something like that. And what
or
I ended
old
up
school,
doing,
like the old Land Cruisers.
Yeah, which is the FJ Cruiser now, but yeah.
What I ended up doing was going out to Walmart at Christmas and buying 50 Hot Wheels cars identical to his. And I actually went and stenciled onto the back license plate area his license plate number.
Oh.
And I started putting those things all over the place. Because Hot Wheels cars, they were what, 50 cents or so back in 2009, 2010?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A buck or two, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually about a buck is what I remember.
Yep.
Yeah, so
They
I
are.
wasn't out overly much.
No.
And I was
no.
doing very much like what happened to that captain. I was putting those things all over the fucking place.
Mhm.
He never figured out it was me.
Yeah.
And hit his seat in his Humvee would have one of them before rolling out on a convoy.
Yeah.
I managed to get one into his level A suit. And because that man
Oh.
never inspected his suit, he would put his foot right on the darn thing, or if I put it just right, he would put his taint right on the darn thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
it would
God.
end up in his
Oh.
crotch. Yep.
One time this did go a little too far because it was in the suit. He put it on. He was going commando that day.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think you guys can do the math on what happened.
Oh.
Did he need
Parking in
medical
slot B?
intervention?
Yeah, it was definitely in slot B.
Did he need
I'll
need
give him,
medical
I will give him
intervention?
credit. He did the entire training up, the entire hour that he was supposed to be in that suit, with
But
this thing lodged somewhere where it shouldn't have been lodged.
Wrong parking place?
Very much so.
Wong Ho, Wong Ho.
Well,
Right.
he came out of the suit
Oh
and
my
was
God.
immediately rushing to the porta-john.
Oh.
To my
God.
knowledge, he never went to sick call for this, and he never said anything about what happened afterwards.
Yeah, there probably wasn't any bleeding then. You got lucky.
Yeah.
Now, what I suspect was that it was just right on the cusp, and
Mhm.
because this guy was so tight-arsed, he probably was just squeezing his cheeks to make sure it didn't go any further.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or he rolled
one of the-
over and took it like a man.
Right? One of it's actually I guess you can say borderline semi-malicious, but this dude I used to work with was a real what's the best term that comes to mind? There's that one guy that no matter what literally takes everything way too far and thinks he's funny and he makes jokes at everybody else's expense at the worst possible time.
I think we've all worked with somebody like that.
Yeah, his name is
Well-
Chet, and he was in Weird Science, right?
Yeah, actually very much like Chet from Weird Science.
Yep. Okay. Gotcha.
But this dude he would take his lunch break. He was supposed to get like a half hour lunch break and then come back on shift. Well, he would take an hour and he's like, oh, well, I need my time to go lift. And he'd always bring his protein powder and keep it in his locker. And he was just a real jackass to everybody.
I already
So,
don't like where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
Well, somebody decided to go and crushed up a couple of Benadryl and sprinkle it on the top. Well, he went out, took a scoop, turned on the air conditioning in his car, sat down, fell asleep, slept for 4 hours in his car. Car ran out of gas. Nobody knew what happened. And I'm like, did you put Benadryl in his protein powder? He's like, yeah, why? I'm like, that could be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, well, what do we do? He's like, we got to get him back. Well, I'm like, I don't know. Let's do something simpler and something a little more devious. He's like, what's that? I said, let's just like crush up, I don't know, like a dozen Docalax tablets. So,
Oh my god, dude.
That's the medic's go-to for evil payback.
Oh, fuck.
so what did the guy do? Took his dose of protein powder before his lunch break. Sat down 15-20 minutes before, kind of did his little chill thing before he left to go lift. And the guy comes back. He's usually wearing like his gym shorts and a cut-off sleeve t-shirt. Guy comes back in completely different clothes. And he's like, which one of you sons of bitches made me shit my shorts at the gym? And he came back think it was like 2 hours later because he was squatting that day.
Oh.
And he went down and went to push too hard, and I guess
it
went all over the floor, got all over his legs, his shoes, splattered on 3 or 4 different people at the gym. The police got called. He got ticketed for it. His girlfriend had to bring him clothes. And we're standing there, I'm like, I don't know, dude, maybe they changed something in the mix of your protein powder. And he's like, pushing everybody, but not only me and one other guy knew what actually happened and what caused it. And so what we did is we kept monitoring because he kept changing his protein powder. Anytime he went back to that same protein powder, we crushed up those Docalax tablets and just sprinkled it on the top. And so it happened to this guy 4 more times. And he was on the phone yelling at the store that he bought it from and calling the company that made it and screaming at him. And he actually wound up, he went and talked to an attorney and was basically going to try and take this company to small claims court over what was going on. Because of, every time he used their product, he was basically filling his shorts. And it turned around that he wound up quitting for some reason, got a different job somewhere else. And everybody that we worked with, everybody thought that he had some kind of allergic reaction or some kind of a digestive reaction to that protein powder. So everybody I worked with, they're like, oh, I work out, but I'm never buying that stuff. I don't want to fill my shorts. And still to today, nobody, me and one other guy that worked there were the only 2 people that ever knew what was happening with that.
Well, that's a serious felony poisoning is what that is.
Yeah.
Pretty darn close.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that bad. He accidentally...
It wasn't Visine in the coffee, no.
No.
Well, hang on. It could also be seen as you just saying that he's a very shitty person.
Right.
And he obviously proved it.
Yeah.
And truth be told, Tommy can verify this. I'm pretty sure the Navy uses the same MREs the Army does. There's certain ones you give to people that you don't like because you know exactly what it's going to do to them on the way out.
Yeah, I've heard things. I've never used one or never eaten one. So, yeah, I was shore duty, man. I didn't have to deal with that shit.
I wish Sean was on here. He could confirm what I'm saying.
All right, Outlaw, you had something you were saying, buddy.
Okay, so this reminded me of a story. So we're in the cabinet industry, and if you know what we use to put cabinets together, those nails, those staples and stuff, you have to buy in rows.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So we would get into gun battles in the shop and shoot at one another.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, my uncle was being a dick to us, and we would take side. We'd get on this side of the shop. They'd get on this side. We'd get nail guns and just start shooting each other. Well, he pissed us off. I can't remember how it was now, what he did, but they decided to take his jacket. Now, this was back in the 90s. He was wearing what kind of jacket was that? Oh, shit. What kind of jacket was that? Anyway, they took this guy's jacket and stretched it out, hands out, kind of like Jesus on the cross type deal. Put it on the wall, nailed it to the wall. But they didn't just stop there. He come in one day and saw that. He's like, who in the hell did that to my jacket? So they spent the whole day pulling nails out of the jacket, trying to get it off the wall because they had nailed the entire thing to the wall with its arms stretched out and everything. But then on another occasion, they got pissed at him again. And he was known to fuck up. Like, he'd take all day fixing one thing. So they nailed his wallet to his pants while he was wearing them. I think they shot a little close. And it nailed his wallet to his pants to his leg.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
And you're talking those little brad nails that are about an inch long.
The staples that are in a U shape that you get like rows of that you
Yeah.
shoot backs on cabinets and stuff
Oh,
with.
the bigger
Yeah.
staples that are an inch and a half long. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, Outlaw, I have to ask you this question because you used to do those long range engagements. What was the accuracy like?
Depends on what kind of a nail gun you get. If you get like just a simple like nail gun, just for stapling backs on, you have to be kind of close with them, close range. But the more powerful ones, for shooting like frames and stuff on, you can be probably 30 feet across the shop, something like that, and hit people with them, and it'll stick into them.
Oh, ouch.
Yep. It all depends
Well-
about the air pressure and the gun. Yep.
Yeah.
I was more
But
worried
the
about the
Brad
accuracy
nails?
than the range.
Now the Brad nails, that's way
Oh.
too far. I'm talking about
Yeah.
roofing nails, like frame nails.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, that's
Oh, you can get a
that's
good
no
50 feet
good.
out of those.
yeah.
Those
Well,
things are fucking
Outlaw, you'd be
wicked.
one to appreciate this. After I left working in EMS, I wound up going to work for a master plumber, and we used to work with this electrician that was he thought he walked on water. Like he
Oh,
would
one of
literally,
those.
like if he saw one of your tools in his way, he would grab it and throw it out in the mud or throw it out in the ditch.
Oh,
Like he was just just that type of person. So what we did is he would always just leave his tools everywhere around us and scream and yell at us for stealing his tools, even though he would lose them. So
Mhm.
he left for lunch. He's gone for an hour. So I was talking to one of the drywall guys. I'm like, I got an idea. He's like, what's that? And I said, the electrician the jackwagon electrician we got? He goes, yeah. I'm like, you got your stilts here? He goes, yeah. Why? I said, why don't you take his tool bag, his jacket, all of his stuff, and nail it to the ceiling?
Oh,
So you had one of those electricians that was just one of the fucking biggest dicks you'd ever met.
Yep. So
Oh.
I mentioned it to the drywaller, and what does the drywaller do? Grabs his tool bag, grabs his jacket, his overalls, all his like insulated clothes and everything, and all because the house we were working on didn't have heat yet and it was in the wintertime.
Oh.
He actually put his overalls and the jacket, staple it up make it look like a person, and then put all the tools around where the hands would be. And this place had, I think, 12-foot ceilings in it.
Oh.
And then what he did is the drywaller took the electrician's ladders, his fiberglass ladders, and nailed them to the ceiling as well.
oh, wow.
So when the drywaller left, he was the only one that had any stilts or ladders or platforms or anything to get up that high. And he left early that day. And I'm down in the basement finishing up one of the water lines, me and the master I was working with. And we hear this guy come in, and he was cussing worse than a sailor's grandmother.
Oh god.
Wow.
All of his stuff was nailed to the ceiling.
Yep.
Throughout the entire house.
Oh.
And the funny thing is, his phone was left in his jacket pocket, so he had no way to call anybody. So the plumber I was working with, he's like, he goes, let's sneak out. Hopefully he doesn't hear us or see that we're here. So we slipped out of there was a basement access, like a partially exposed basement. So we slipped out, and this guy's just pacing through, screaming and swearing and screaming and swearing. Well, then the general contractor showed up, and he could hear this electrician inside and knew who this guy already had a reputation of being, the jackass on the job site. So the general comes on, and we're like, yeah, we're done. He's screwing around with something. I don't know. Who knows what he's doing. We didn't go near him. We're just avoiding him like we try to do. So the general goes in, and the general comes out just laughing. What does the general do? Calls the building inspector.
Mm.
The building inspector knows this electrician, knows what a jackass he is,
And doesn't like it.
and so Yeah. And so here you have the general contractor laughing at him, calling in everybody else to laugh at him to make him look like this much of a dick. And so dude was literally just ripped on relentlessly, so much that he actually quit working for that electrical company
Yep.
and went to go work for somebody else. But
Oh,
yeah, he
man.
was that one dude that I'll never forget, that looking up at that ceiling just laughing. I'm like, maybe we took this a little too far.
Hey
Well-
guys, I can tell you, being an electrician guy, you know, or electrical guy myself, the first thing I tell anybody that's new that I work with, don't piss off the electrician.
Yeah.
You leave
Yeah.
me alone, I'll leave you alone. You need something done, I'll get it done. Don't be a dick. Because if you're
Well-
gonna be a dick, I'm gonna be a dick.
we had guys in the cabinet business. Well, it was basically just us family, but you know, we had random guys that would get hired every once in a while. But we'd go on these construction jobs, and if they had a porta potty on site, you know, they'd use it or whatever. And then one of them would stay in there for a long time to kind of skate by through the day, you know.
Oh yeah,
And,
one of those.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That same uncle that pissed us off in the shop that we stapled his jacket to the wall was the same uncle that liked dicking off on the job site and taking a shit and taking his sweet time. So he goes out to the Porta John. He's out there for about 30 minutes to an hour. We're like, hey man, you all right? Yeah, man, I ain't got no toilet paper, whatever. So we had to get him a toilet paper roll and all that. And then he's still out there about another 10, 20 minutes.
No,
And so
Jesus.
we come back out there, and my brothers get on one end of it, and we get on the other end. We start shaking it back and forth.
Mhm.
He's like, "Oh man,
Oh,
hey,
no.
stop!" And you can hear him in there, water splashing around and shit everywhere. He's like, "Oh man, stop!" When we get done with him and he comes out, he's covered in blue water everywhere, all over his
Uh-huh.
legs.
And that's
He's got it all
guy.
over his arms, his shirt.
Yep.
I think he had a
Yeah.
turd. It was, oh my god, I'm gonna have to go home, man. I gotta go home. I think I'm gonna be sick. we laugh.
Well,
we laugh so hard.
It
at
was
that, man.
gloriously horrible.
Well, you would be one of the guys that would appreciate it. We were working on the plumber I was working with. We were working on another project, and there was a framer that was kind of a dick. He was the same kind of jackass guy that would scream at everybody and, you know, kind of be an asshole and like would milk, you know, going out to the outhouse and stuff like that. And he'd just
Mhm.
disappear for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours,
Oh,
sometimes
fuck
an
that.
entire day.
Mhm.
And but he was, you know, buddy with the superintendent, so he could get away with doing whatever he wanted. So
Mm.
we were kind of getting sick of it. We were waiting for him to get framing done, and dude was nowhere around. And so one of the electricians was like, hey, he went out to the Porta John. I'm like, all right, like, what are we gonna do? He was like, I got 2 25-pound boxes of screws. Pin the door shut. I'll screw it shut. We'll leave them in there.
Oh.
So here it was, middle to end of July, beginning of August, around this time of year, with the heavy heat wave.
Oh.
And it was like, you know, 108, 110 with like 90 to 95% humidity.
Why
No
would you want to
wind.
be in one of
Please.
those? Oh my god.
So I ran up. I'm a big guy. I'm 6 foot, like 220. And I threw my entire body weight against the door. And before I knew it, there had to have been 50 to 100 screws holding that door shut
Oh,
to that
man.
outhouse. And he's inside with nothing but his fingers on the, coarse drywall screws.
Mm-hmm.
What's he going to
Hmm.
do to get him out?
You can't.
And he's banging on the door. He's like, let me out. I'm going to kick your ass. Let me out. And we left him in there the entire day.
Oh.
Oh shit.
I know, the plumber and I, we were on site, I think at 6, and we were leaving at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it was, and when we left, he was still in there banging on the door.
Jeez.
Okay.
And I have no idea who let him out and when. Yeah, I see Rhino's back.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's let's go ahead and do one more short story per individual and go ahead and call it. So that way, if anyone wants to go and harass Rhino and he decides to go live, we can do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab some water. So you guys go ahead and do your thing.
Let's
All right,
do
well,
a
I'm
quick
gonna go ahead and
break.
drop
And
you off then, if that's all right with you, Nate.
Yeah, that's sure. That's fine.
Okay.
I was gonna say let's take a quick break and do a piss thing and then come back.
Well, no, we're about to kill it altogether because
Okay.
Rhino might be going live here in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, fuck that guy. He's
So
got
outlawed you.
he's
Do you
got
have any
20
quick
minutes.
stories you want to go ahead and share before we call it for the night?
He's got 20 fucking minutes. Oh, I got one for you. You guys were talking about electricians. My uncle was an electrician, my dad's little brother. And he used to tell all of his apprentices, don't shock me. If you shock me, it gives me a hard on. And that fucker doesn't go down until it gets used. And you know who it's going to get used on. So, this guy that he was working with shocked him. And he disappeared for 3 fucking days.
Okay.
I love that drunk fucker.
Going back to the Porta John stories for just a moment.
Yeah.
This one that I did to a guy on Fort Hood.
Oh no.
Okay. We had this team leader, another specialist, arrogant, egotistical piece of garbage.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those guys who literally thought that that his fecal matter did not stink.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Well, we are out in the field in the middle of Fort Hood, July. Fort Hood's in the middle of Texas. Middle of July, middle of Texas. How hot do you think it was?
Ooh.
Middle of
Yeah.
July in Texas, probably
Yeah.
about 100 to
Yeah.
105.
Yeah.
This is one of the rare field exercises where we were fortunate enough to get Porta Johns.
Mm.
My unit was what's called a bids unit. We had Humvees that had the big ice cream truck style back ends on them.
Right. Did they have AC?
I'm not
in
going
them?
to tell you what's on the inside because it really doesn't matter.
No, but did they have AC
Yeah.
in them because of the
Yes, they
electronics?
did.
Yeah. Everybody
Well,
wanted to
I was
sit in that
partnered
fucker.
with this Dingleberry, and thus he made sure that our Humvee was right next to. We were right next to it, and I decided, you know what? While he's in there, I'm going to back this vehicle up. I backed it right up to the door. I could have been nice and let him open the door so he could come in and out and do his deal. No, I was not nice.
No,
I
man.
backed it up in such a way where he could crack the door open exactly half an inch.
Oh.
His
Did you
phone
get some
was in the
air?
Humvee with me.
Oh.
Now, bear in mind, he was buddy-buddy with the platoon sergeant. Everyone else in the platoon hated him, including the PL.
Oh, man.
So the PL comes up and is asking, hey, where's so-and-so? I'm like, I have no idea. Why is the Humvee parked right against the Porta John? Oh, so-and-so wanted it there. LT looks at me and goes, right. How long have you had him in there? I'm like, oh, since about 40 minutes after lunch.
Oh,
Oh.
shit.
PL looks at me and goes, well, what MRE did he have? Like, oh, he didn't have an MRE. He had some of the tuna packets that he always carries. PL goes, oh, so by now he's probably quite ripe. I'm like, oh, yeah, probably. And PL goes, give me your pen. I had a little cheap Bic pen. PL takes the pen, sticks it through the Porta John latch, move this Humvee to where it's supposed to be. we didn't let him out until like 1800, so he spent about 6 hours in that porta john.
Oh man,
He smelled worse than a French whorehouse.
Yep, that's a fuck that guy.
And the other reason we let him out is because the platoon sergeant wasn't going to let us have hot dinner until he showed up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not everybody's accounted for. Until they're all accounted for, nobody gets a
Oh,
hot
she
dinner.
didn't care. She didn't care about them all being accounted for. She just wanted her little pencil monkey to be there
Oh,
because he's the one that did all the paperwork for her. She didn't know how to do half of it.
right. Okay, gotcha.
gotcha.
But Outlaw, you have a quickie that you want to go ahead and share before we call it for the night?
No, I think that's about it for me. I'll see if I can remember some more. Maybe I'll talk about them on Rhinos or whatever.
Well,
Yeah, it sounds like Rhino's getting reared up and ready to go. He made it home.
Yeah.
Yep. So, gentlemen, thanks for coming on. I hope you all
Oh,
have a
yeah.
nice evening.
Absolutely, brother.
And
Appreciate
we'll
it.
see you over on Rhino to mess with him a little bit.
Oh, he's gonna get it tonight.
Oh yeah. Appreciate
Hey,
it,
since I'm
man.
the one that suggested a couple of these articles, I have to be there.
Oh yeah.
Heck,
Yeah.
Appreciate
you
it,
all have a
man.
good one.
All right,
if,
Mendo.
if you're not over on Rhino, I'll see you next time I jump on here.
All
See
right,
you later,
buddy.
man.
And thank you, Kitty Stalker. I'm not entirely sure I agree, but I appreciate it.
No, it was a good show. It was a good show.
It was a good show. It was a good show.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going ahead and killing the broadcast.
All right, guys.
All right,
See you
guys.
in a while.